Hey, what's up, cats and kittens? And shout out to all my cerebral lights. It's me, the Cerebral Diva, back with another episode of the Daily Dose. And I want to jump right in and talk about Steve Stevens. Steve Stevens, for those of you who have been living under a rock, is the individual responsible for the murder and subsequent suicide of Robert Godwin on Facebook Live. Now, this murder happened a couple of days ago. I'm not sure of the exact timeline, but I know it's been at least 2 days, if I'm not mistaken, where Steve Stevens, apparently disgruntled and feeling disenchanted and disillusioned, all the disses you can think of. He felt dissed, essentially, by the woman that he was with and the failure of that relationship. And having seen his actions, you can kind of understand why she didn't want to have anything to do with him. I think it was probably the smartest thing that she's ever done. And unfortunately, Robert Godwin paid the price for the demise of that relationship. So, Steve Stevens, who was an emotional wreck after the dissolution of that relationship, decided that he would basically go on a killing spree and just kill random people who haven't wronged him in any way. And Mr. Godwin was unfortunately the recipient of Steve Stevens's wrath, if you will. So he's been on the lam for several days, and apparently there was a confrontation with police in Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie, that's ironic. Where they tried to make a traffic stop, tried to effect a traffic stop, and he decided that rather than being stopped, rather than being apprehended, that suicide was the better option. Now, all of this has happened, but to me, the real question is, first of all, who goes to that funeral? I mean, if you're the mom, the sister, the dad, the brother, I suppose you're obligated. But who else? Who goes to the funeral of a mass murderer? I don't know why that thought just popped into my head. And I say a mass murderer or a spree killer. I guess is essentially what he would probably qualify as. He took responsibility for several other murders, but those other murders haven't been confirmed. So we don't know if it was just him being hyperbolic or if he actually did kill other people. But in any case, I was just sitting here wondering to myself, like, not only did he destroy the lives of the Godwin family and take the life of Robert Godwin, the people who were in his own life, his own family, this is definitely going to have an impact on their lives as well. And so I'm wondering, when something like this happens, how do you rectify mourning a person who's done something so sadistic? Where do you, how do you process that, the dichotomy of those emotions? On one hand, you love this person, obviously, because this is who you grew up with or who you raised and who you feel connected to. But on the other hand, there's this monster that the public has come to know. And, I suppose that would be a very difficult place to try to find some measure of peace. So moving on from that, the other thing I want to talk about is Facebook's culpability and this culture of people who desire to be insta famous, and why there isn't some sort of, like, at this point Facebook has to implement some sort of notification on this Facebook Live. It can no longer just be the wild wild west on Facebook Live. Like, you can't just put up whatever you want to. There needs to be some sort of button or some sort of option that when you're seeing something, if you want, you can instantly notify authorities, or you can instantly notify Facebook. And I mean, Facebook is making billions upon billions of dollars. This is a publicly traded company. It's not like they don't have the means to do so. Like, they can affect change where it is monetarily beneficial, but we're talking about doing something for the community that makes people safer. No one should have to ever see someone that they love being used as fodder, as internet fodder. And that's essentially what happened to Robert Godwin. Like, his death is forever a part of pop culture. And it's sad that Facebook hasn't saw fit to put these tools in place. I mean, when you're going to put a tool like Facebook Live out, you really have to think about it in a comprehensive way, a way that isn't just like, let's put this out there and see what happens. You have to put safeguards in place because people are prone to abuse. And clearly that's what's happening. Like, we've seen cases out of Chicago where there was a young man with special needs who was assaulted on Facebook Live by a group of teen and young adults. We've seen another case, I believe, also out of Chicago, where a young lady was brutally gang raped on Facebook Live. And most recently on Instagram, we saw a young man, I believe he was 13 years of age, who traded his iPhone for a handgun and wound up killing himself on Instagram. And while he didn't kill himself intentionally, this was not a suicide, it was an accidental killing. It was a senseless death, and one that did not need to be broadcast. And so now that we have all of these tools, basically at our fingertips, how do we challenge these companies to do a better job at policing the tools they have available to the masses? At this point, I really think if Facebook does nothing about this, that families need to be able to litigate, to sue Facebook for some, not just about the death, but about the exploitation of their loved one's death, because Facebook can do more than they've been doing. And if they don't put safeguards in place, sometimes money is the only thing that motivates companies. So yeah, I'm really curious to know what you guys think, what your thoughts are. I just think that it's enough already. The whole Insta famous thing, people just doing the most sensational things in order to get recognition because they don't have talent or another means of actually earning celebrity. They just do something that's cruel and heinous. And that's enough for news media outlets to pick up on. And that's enough for me to talk about. And, so many of the other bloggers and vloggers and what have you, who really, unfortunately, feed the beast to some degree. So, as always, in closing, you guys, remember to live better, love harder, think smarter. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike too, if that's how you feel. Doesn't make me a difference either way. Also follow me across all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. I'm Cerebral Diva on all platforms. I'm spelled just as it's spoken. If you can spell, then you can find me. And yeah, that's about it. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a fantastic day. Hooray for public safety. We can all breathe a sigh of relief. Steve Stevens is no longer walking amongst the living.